Every Day a Better You, a podcast that's not about being better than the person next to you, but being better than the version of yourself a day prior. Your host, Farid Johnson, accompanied by my co-host, Henri.
Hello, everyone. This is Henri. A lot of people know me as Boo. Every Day a Better You.
So, today's date is June 11th, 2025, and we are on episode 1 of our new podcast, Every Day a Better You, a podcast that's not about being better than the person next to you, but being better than the version of yourself a day prior. I'm your host, Farid Johnson. I'm accompanied by my co-host, Henri. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. This is Henri. A lot of people know me as Boo. That's just my nickname. I actually got that nickname. That's a story that everybody wants to know, right? I actually got that nickname from my grandmother when I was a kid. It was actually Boo Boo at first, and as I got older, Boo stuck, okay? Henri is not a name that a lot of people are associated, can say it easily, so that's how I got my nickname. Now, my co-host here, I'd like to know how you got your nickname, Mr. Flip.
Well, you know what's funny? This whole time, I thought they called you Boo because of your last name.
Well, that's part
Boofer.
of it too. Yeah, that came later though. That came later.
That's today years old. I've known this man for about 20 years. I'm today years old when I find that out. My nickname comes from my brother, Salim. When I was younger, I was a bit on the chubby side, and there was a movie, obviously, Above the Rim, Flip Johnson playing for the Bunks, right? And he used to walk around. I was that basketball bum in the family, and he just started calling me Flip. It used to be a name that actually agitated me. I used to get into fights at school because people would try to call me that. He was the only one that was allowed to call me that, but then it kind of stuck. I got it tattooed on my arm, and here we are.
All right, I could respect that. I'm familiar with the movie, as most people are. So, our podcast, Every Day a Better You. What exactly? I know we spoke about it and everything, but what exactly sparked that name? I mean, I stamped it. I put my stamp on it.
Yeah.
But you came up with the name of Every Day a Better You. What exactly sparked that name, that interest?
So, what's funny? So I'm in education, right? I'm a school principal, and when I was a teacher, I always thought like, all right, I want to move into administration. I can do better. I can do better. I can be better. Right. And then that Nike commercial came out. My better is better. Right.
Yeah,
so this started with just plain old be better. So I would go by, like, that was the premise. Be better, be better. Right. And I did I did a graduation speech for Hastings High School in 2017, and the theme was be better, right? That was it. It was a huge success. Like a lot of emotions came from it. People thanking me, the whole nine, right? So I was like, oh, be better.
Yeah,
so when I became, it was a hit. So when I became the principal of my first school, I wanted to put be better as the heading for letterheads, but I was like, be better. That kind of sounds like condescending if you just read it. Be better, like be better, man. Like, so I was like, all right. So then it morphed into always striving to be better, right? And I was like, all right, I like that. Then I went to a new school. I was like, I need something different, right? And then I was like, Every Day a Better You. I was like, oh my God, that's it right there. Because again, it's not about the Mamba mentality. It's not about trying to outwork anyone else. But you're an athlete. You're trying to outwork. Beat your numbers from the day prior. You're just always trying to better yourself. Like you say it all the time. You're not in competition with anyone. You're in competition with yourself. So when we talked about starting this podcast, what better way to be more, not be the run of the mill, like, oh, we're just going to talk about sports, or we're just going to talk about this is how you do. Like, we don't know everything, right? But if we can sit there and talk about real stories that give real results, that's what we do, and that's what we're here for.
Right. So, I mean, as far as myself, I can relate to that. Your biggest opponent is always the person in the mirror. You know what I mean? And that's easier said than done, right? Because we live in a world where you got a house, he got this, she got that, social media, everybody has everything, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, you realize you're in a competition with people you don't even know. You know what I mean? And it's not about that. It's about every day being the best version of yourself.
Right.
You know?
So now, and we've talked about this all the time, which is funny that like we talked about starting this podcast together because we would just sit and tell stories for hours about our past and where we've been and kind of some of the dark moments that we were at when we used to compare ourselves to others. Like, oh, you guys have dinner all together?
Sitting together at the same time, and it's not a holiday?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you got this kind of car, these kids can afford those sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about this stuff
Yeah.
for hours. And now here we are on this podcast, which is, we're trying to help people, but I think it does two things. We're out here telling stories from our past, right? Because this is, so now I'm going to get into the premise of the show. So we're telling stories from the past, and some of these stories go deep, right? And so you strap up. You might get some tissues sometimes. You might cry a little bit with us, laugh a little bit with us.
We don't care to go.
We're gonna go deep sometimes. Like, in today is gonna be one of those times. Like, we're gonna get into it. But we're telling these stories, lessons that we learned from these stories, and how they're applied to present day in our lives. Like, what do we do? Like, when we think back to some of these things that are real trauma, right? How do we handle that and use it to better someone else's life today, right? And in turn, still better in our own life.
Right. That's the basis of everything, right? Mm-hmm. Because in some way, shape, or form, it'll affect you if you don't deal with the childhood trauma or early adolescent trauma,
right?
Even
trauma 2 weeks ago. Trauma, right? We talking about that. I'm not gonna even talk about some of that stuff.
Not right now. Not right now.
Not right now. There's time for that.
Yeah.
But that's how this all started. We're gonna be diving in. We're gonna be telling stories, and again, we're no experts, right? We don't know everything. We don't claim to know everything. We're just
not trying to know everything, right?
Get these stories out here to better ourselves, because we talked about this is therapeutic for us, right?
First and foremost, yeah.
Right. And then we can help others, right? And I think it's a little different from some of the other podcasts, because we're not out here, no money grabs, right? We're not out here just talking about race, although I do have a story from...
we all got the racial stories, but...
we got a story from earlier that we just went through. It's a funny story. I'm going to get into that a little later. But we're just two regular guys,
right,
with some real experiences.
And just because we're athletes, this is not a athletic podcast. We're
How
telling
to lift weights,
old basketball stories, Al Bundy story. No, it's none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff. We don't want no handouts. We don't want no. You know what I mean?
Don't feel sorry for us when we get into some of these stories. Don't feel sorry for us.
Pity, yeah. It's not a pity party. It's none of that. It's something different. It's therapeutic for us, and we're trying to help people get through, everyday things and become better.
Right, and then as the show grows, we'll have guests on here talking about their stories and their chance to share their everyday better you moment.
Yeah.
But this is continuous, and you talk about trying to find content. There's no trying to find content.
It's endless.
This is real life.
It's endless,
right?
Yeah.
Like it continues to just go. So what do you say? You want to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to jump into this first story.
Okay.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the past. Okay. So like I said, get ready, because you're going to go to some deep places. I'm going to talk about a lesson that was learned from this story. And I'm going to talk about how I applied it to a present day situation, a really powerful one that I feel. And I might be being, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think it's powerful. When I shared this story with you, I feel like you thought it was powerful as well.
I did.
All right, and then I'll leave you if you want to dive in a little more, ask a follow-up question. That's totally fine too. So, all right, let me take a deep breath.
Take your
so
breath.
there was I grew up, right, and we were in poverty, and I'm one of 6 kids, right? My mom had 6 kids. My father had 2 kids
Outside,
in the previous, so that's 8 kids total, right? But there's 6 of us. My mom, Gloria Johnson, God rest her soul, right? She taught me a lot, but she was far from perfect, right? She alcoholic, drugs, abuse.
I can relate. Yep.
the whole 9 yards, right? You know, you get it. Days where you wouldn't even know where she was, and
Yep.
when you see it 3 days later, where were you? And we called her Umi. And my father, Howard Johnson, he was Muslim, right? So it was Umi and Abby. It was never mom and dad. So like, Umi, where were you, right? In my skin.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
bro. Like in your skin's
like
not
don't ask me. I'm a grown.
right,
you know.
right. And your skin's not
Yeah.
feeding us, right?
Right.
So
right.
at a young age, I developed this this habit of thievery. Right?
Yeah.
So and it
Like, I like the way
thievery,
you.
right?
I like the way you put that.
It sounds more, sounds more articulate.
Yeah.
Thievery, we'll call
Yeah.
it. Like you call like custodian,
Yeah, janitor.
custodial engineer,
Yeah.
janitor, right?
Yeah.
Thievery, right?
Yeah.
So, it started from a need, right? So my mom would go out, not be around. That the infamous closet in the hallway, all the coats in the closet. So I'm going there looking for change, right? So we can go to the corner store, get some things,
Get some chips or
bring
whatever,
back
yeah.
for my sister, for my little sister. Like I said, God rest her soul. Everything that I do in life is dedicated to her. She was my best friend, right? And we were we had there were 6 kids, but it was always her and I together, no matter what. Brother in the group home, other brother down south, other sister down south, Patricia. She'd shoot me if I didn't shout her out. So hey, Patricia. But go to the corner store, get some chips or whatever. Now we good. We ate for the day or whatever. It didn't matter, right? So that's where that started. Then it turned into money. Then it turned into actually going to like the grocery store.
Right.
Back in the day, you remember the bubble jackets, the first down. You go in there, you load up. I got milk in one sleeve. I got bread in another sleeve. I got my book bag now for
you were
peanut
getting
butter.
busy. You were.
Yeah, bro. Like, we gotta eat.
Right,
Like
right.
I'm never gonna be able to afford this kind of
No,
stuff.
I
You know what I mean?
understand,
Like I
yeah.
can't. I gotta eat. Like now, granted, we'll go to the soup kitchen. We go to the churches. We go like all of that stuff that it's embarrassing. I'm gonna say it's embarrassing, right? So that's how.
But is it really though?
Yo, back
Listen,
then,
for that point in time, yeah, we all been there. Food stamps, you want to
Right.
wait, but you wait, and it's like your friends are using the same thing. It's like,
Right.
what the fuck?
certain friends.
Certain friends, right.
Certain friends.
Friends
You
in my
always-
building.
You always had some of them friends in the hood that somehow had like the best sneakers and the best
Yeah.
clothes.
Yeah.
They were going through the same situation, but I don't know if they had
Yeah.
a different kind of setup or a different kind of hookup.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all our moms played the number. We
Yeah.
hit the number, the local number. You
Right,
got
right,
some,
right.
you could splurge a little bit.
Right.
But for the most part, it was nothing.
Right.
So I'm stealing all the time. Now I'm getting good at it, right? I'm stealing everything. I'm going into Foot Locker. I'm stealing sneakers, right?
Oh, you graduated like that?
Boo, I told if I didn't get like caught out there, and I'll get into that. I caught myself basically. I tell people I would have been an international thief, bro. Like, you know, dinner thieves. Like I would have been out there. What's that movie Entrapment?
Yeah.
Back in the day when
yeah.
he was stealing everything.
Yeah.
Like going through the lasers and stuff.
So you would have been a master thief. Possibly.
I would have been a master thief, bro. Thank God. Thank God I didn't go that route. But yeah, so like I said, it started from necessity. Like I needed to eat. Family needed to eat, right? Little sister needed to eat. That's how these things started. Didn't have money. So what I'm gonna do? Stole money, right? But again, all for a good cause. Like I was like the Black Robin Hood, right? That's how I used to justify it, right?
That's how you justify it, right?
When I finally did get caught, I was actually in college with our producer here, Claudio from K Visions, right?
Can I just stop you for that? Because I was in a rival college, right? We played against each
You
other.
did.
And I remember
You remember.
hearing the story.
Yep. Bro, when I went to Mount...
What?
Yeah. When I went to Mount St. Mary's, a dude used to go to Manhattanville, transferred over there. They had signs of computers in a playoff game. My man, like, they went there.
Yeah.
Right? So that story, I'm at school because I couldn't go back home, had to make money, stayed on campus in the summer. I'm working out, jogging at night. And all of a sudden, the dorm was open, right? And it's like, when it's like you watch those cartoons or shows and it's like the light. It's like, that was hovering over this brand new, and I remember back then, compact Rosario. Those are the joints. That was the laptop.
Compact Rosario. Wow, you brought it back.
Bro, I took that joint. I was like, I'm never going to be able to afford. Remember, think mindset, right?
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to afford something like that. Took it.
Yeah.
Had it for 2 weeks, boo.
That's what I heard. It was like, yo, he had it.
Yep.
He got away with it. But
Yep. But this is, you talk about divine intervention when you know like something, a greater power is telling you that you need to cut it out. Well, I tried to hook it back up to the network that I stole it from, bro. Like, come on.
Don't tell me you.
And that, like I said, I know how to steal. I know I'm from the streets. Like, I know not to do that. But something was like, do it. My ex-girlfriend at the time, she's like, sell it, sell it. I'm like, nah, I need this at school. Because again, I'm still thinking about how to better myself. Because I know I need this to help me with school. I can't afford it. So why would I sell it?
Right.
And I need internet.
Right.
Man, hook this up, George.
Yeah,
That was his name. That was the internet technician, George, man. They came and got me the next day. I was working at a telecommunications job.
Well, you helped them. You actually helped them.
Right.
They seen it on the board and said, wait a minute.
Wait.
This is reported stolen. This is hooked up.
They're like, come on, Farid. Like, what you doing? They came and got me out of my job. I was working for telecommunications.
Yeah, we all did that. Yeah.
At the school.
Yeah,
they
the
came
phone
and got
stuff.
me. I was out, and I'll tell the rest of that story another day because that could be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But so that's when I was like, you know what, God, please, I need to get back to school. I went to another school, came back,
Yeah,
and
remember
the
that
rest
too.
was history. I came back, bettered myself, met with the president, the vice president of the school, and like took off from there. Right. The point of this story is that how it started, okay, out of necessity.
Yeah.
So now let's flash forward. It's my first or second year as a building principal, okay? Teacher brings a student to me. Mr. Johnson, this kid, you just caught him stealing. He needs to be in trouble, like yada, 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 all of it. And I was like, wait, okay, right. Hold on.
What was he stealing? What was he?
Food from the cafeteria.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So now, okay, I'm like, all right, thank you, no problem.
And food, not snacks, cookies.
No. Food.
Food, like I'm hungry, yo.
Food, like,
I don't got no
wrapped
lunch
up
money.
sandwiches,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So not even that, because he received free lunch. Okay. So I take him to my office.
It's for later.
But I have the teacher come with me. So now I just start asking the questions. Hey, what's going on? And he's like nervous and stuff. But then finally we're talking, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why did you feel the need to take those two? It was two meals that he took.
So let me ask you this before you go on. The way he took it, right? Because he gets free lunch. You knew a mile away, because I know it's probably for his siblings or for him later on, because ain't nothing going on at home.
So here we go. I'm gonna get to that. So, and mind you, no one thought to just ask him before they brought him to me, right? So now we're talking. I'm going through it with him, and he says exactly what you just said. Oh, I only eat when I'm at school. Free breakfast, free lunch. I don't eat dinner. So I was just taking this for me and get this, my little sister,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You talk about flashbacks. So I was like, listen, as a principal, I got to tell you,
You're right.
stealing it's wrong, right?
Morally,
Like you shouldn't do it. It's immoral. Like you should not do it. And we talked about that for a little bit. But I said, listen, all you have to ever do, as long as I'm here,
Right.
you ask.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Right? You just ask. From that moment on, we set it up because, with the lunch programs, you can't really keep the food, like by like food services law.
You're not supposed to,
You're
right.
supposed to discard it, right?
Yeah.
So I set up, no, we're not discarding anything. We're gonna set up like these little bins, and anyone, not just you,
Not just you,
anyone that needs it, take it as much as you want. So we set up. He took home 2-3 bags every day.
Wow.
Every day. And it's all because like my experiences prior, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about this. In that moment, I flashed back to young Farid doing the same thing, right? At a larger scale. Now he's just trying to do right by his family, do right by his sister.
And you helped him. So A, he doesn't graduate to that larger scale.
Yep.
And B, he doesn't have to worry about food, feeding his siblings.
Right. At least Monday through Friday,
At least Monday through Friday.
he's good.
Yeah.
His sister, good. Right? And this is what I'm talking about. Every day better. You're taking something like a messed up moment
Right.
from way back when, right? Or it could be even sooner than way back when. And you're applying that. You learn the lesson. All right, you're not supposed to do that. But how can I use that to help somebody else? And there it is. Bam, that pay it forward moment. Like, oh,
Yes, 100%.
here we go. Right? that is one of the most powerful moments, because from there, boo, I went into something deeper and started talking to teachers, doing professional developments about how do you like work with, teach students in poverty, because it's different.
So yeah, that was my next question was, how did that teacher react to the way you dealt with that student, A, and B, piggybacking off of what you just said, the personal developments, because there is a detachment, right? A lot of teachers, their background is different from ours.
Right.
Leave it at that. So they may look at that situation and be ready to come down, right? Like you said, morally it's wrong. Morally it is.
No, she wanted that kid
But-
in trouble at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, he had some things going on and he was disruptive and, but again, no one want to ask him questions as to why he's like that, right?
That stuff doesn't matter, almost like,
Doesn't matter. You're
like,
supposed
listen.
to just listen.
Right. And a kid like that, the more you're that way, you're supposed to the more he is going to continue to act out and act up because he sees you don't care.
No. What's
care.
what? Yeah. Mom don't care. She ain't home. Like, who cares? Well, you
Teacher
gonna call
don't care.
home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So, but back to your question, how did that teacher react?
How did she react?
So it's like a roller coaster, right? So like I said, I brought her in with me, like purposely, so she can see and hear the questions that I'm asking, how I talk to him, how I don't raise my voice, how I'm not accusatory, right? Like everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves to tell their side of the story, right? Because their side matters and their side is powerful. So her face, it was like a roller coaster. Like from the start, it's like, yeah, he's gonna get him. And then it was like, he didn't really go that hard. And then it was like, oh my gosh. So then after, send the kid off, miss, and I'm not gonna say her name.
No need to, right? No need to.
Can you stay back with me? Because everything is a learning experience, right? Now, mind you, at this point, I'm still in my 30s, right?
Yeah.
And she's much older than me. But I don't matter how old you are, like you can still learn.
Learning
something.
is learning, yeah.
So I was like, did you see how I spoke to him? Right? They're like, what's the first thing I did? She's like, well, you asked him like why he did it. I was like, you didn't think to ask him why he did it? And she was like, you know what, Mr. Johnson? No. She goes, because for me, it was just like right and wrong. Now, see, it's my job though to live in the gray. Like you got to live in the gray. Everything is not so black and white. Right. And too many times society, black and white.
Yeah.
But where's that? There's a gray area, and there's kids that need that gray area. So that's where I operate, right? And we had a long conversation. She gave me a hug afterwards and said, you taught me something today. I swear, boo, I could have been like, you know what? I retire right now, because it was like, again, I'm not going to get into like everything about this particular person and some of the struggle she had as it like related to like race and ethnicity. Like I'm not gonna get into all of that, but it was one of those powerful moments in this lady's life as an educator, who she's been an educator for years on years. It changed for the better.
So here's the thing. You helped two people that day.
I did.
Obviously the kid.
Yep.
And the teacher.
Yep. And that's how these things go. You never know. This is why you never know. Like that's why you and I talk about this all the time, boo. Like how people that sometimes that look like us, right? They'll use their situation as an excuse. Oh, the man trying to hold all that kind of stuff. We've never been like that. No matter what we've been through, we've never been like that.
That's why I said this is not a pity party.
No.
This is not, oh, the man held me back, this and that. You know what I'm saying? This is none of that.
It's using your experiences to do better, not only for yourself, but for others. Because I thought, I'm just going to help this kid. But in turn, I helped that teacher. Yeah. And then that was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. Let's start like a professional development series just on how to teach kids in poverty.
Where you could help, you can help the mass of the teachers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Change the culture of the school, boo.
Yes.
I met with she was a director in the district because she did a lot of that work as well. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something.
She praised you too because you helped her with a PD, with a professional development.
life changing. This woman was so smart, and I didn't get clearance to say her name or anything like that, so I'm not, but she knows who she is. She was the director at the time, and she shared her first slideshow with me about teaching kids in poverty, and she's like, Farid, I've been waiting for someone to come along and like do stuff like this as well.
And here's the thing, the ironic thing is, right, because you said she was very smart and everything, but even when we use that term, because I hear that, oh, he's smart. Yeah, they're smart in their area of what they know. But don't you know, you could put them in a situation and they don't know what's going on. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly
a lot of people say that's it. So in this instance, a person of that stature with all the accolades and everything like that, all this time under her nose, you were right there. Mm-hmm. And you lived it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And from that moment
and you helped
on,
her with professional developments and everything like that.
Yeah, because she wasn't in she wanted to be more in the schools and stuff. I was like, yes, come to my school, do this PD, because remember, lifelong learner. As she's going through it, I'm like, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And she was very well respected, right? She was a principal first, and then she was in a director role, very well respected. So, that's this week's story.
That's awesome,
right?
Yes.
And this is the kind of stuff that we're gonna be doing here on out. Next week we might hear a story from my man Boo over here.
Yeah. I'll go to some places.
I'll turn into the person asking some of these questions.
Right.
So I want to pass it over to you, because we're going to talk a little bit more about what kind of separates us from these other podcasts, about what we get to walk away with, right? We get to walk away with something like what we call the gym, right? And not GYM. Like if you look at Boo, you can tell he lives in the GYM, right? But we're talking about GEM, like the gym, like what's something that our audience can walk away with after each episode, right? So why don't we get into the gym of this episode?
So let's see. I would say this week's gym that I would take away. I did this as an adult writing a letter to my younger self.
Okay.
And in that letter, I just talked about things which we will get into at a later episode. But that's one of the gems that I would say. I wrote a letter as an adult to my younger self. And when I say younger self, I mean,
I was gonna say what age? Does it matter?
Yeah, because there's different points in your life, right?
Okay.
So this was elementary age. I wrote it to 9-year-old me.
Okay.
So
and then
that helped me a lot.
Okay.
That helped me a lot. I mean, listen, it's just a suggestion.
All right.
All
right. So that's the homework for this week. If you can think of something, you write that letter to your younger version of yourself, what you wish like that younger version knew that could help them be better either back then or at another point in their lives. I'm going to write that letter and
please do, and let me know.
I'm going to read it on air at the beginning of the show. Will you feel comfortable reading yours?
Okay, if you read yours, I'll read mine as well. All right,
there we go. And I hope you do the same thing at home. Like I said, the gem of the episode is always going to be something that either you can do tangibly or something that we're going to leave you to really think about and really, really think about. Not just, oh, that's a good thought. Okay.
Right.
Think about it
really, yeah.
And put it into practice. We're not the experts, but like I said, these are real stories with real results, right? Anything that has happened in the past shaped our lives. We use it now, present day, and we think about it on how we helping people and ourselves in the future. If you see our shirts, this is Wildfire Basketball.
White Plains Wildfire right here. We have, it's a basketball AAU program. Mm-hmm. We got 4th grade girls, 5th grade girls. Mm-hmm. We got 4th grade boys, 5th grade boys, 6th grade boys. So every year we're growing, doing pretty well. We won a few local tournaments.
Yeah, and started just as some friends that have kids.
Yeah.
We wanted to do something for them. And
parents who were athletes, and we were like, we're not paying somebody else.
Right, we're not paying somebody else to do what we know how to do.
No, yeah. And especially teach the game,
Yeah. And then a couple of thank yous, right? I want to thank, obviously, Claudio. Claudio, I've known since college, man, 1999.
Yeah.
Claudio was there when I came to school, rolled up with just a garbage bag and a lamp, right?
Where was your Gucci luggage? Where was your,
Yeah, right. It was a
Gucci
ripped
luggage?
garbage bag. So I gotta thank him for blessing us with this like beautiful arrangement. You talk about stories. I need to interview him, right? Like
We
this
will.
guy has
Yeah, we will.
dope story.
He'll be a guest.
I want to thank Dave Regina and the No Snooze podcast.
New Snooze, yes.
No
He
Snooze
actually
is-
met with us. you
Yeah,
know.
he met with us, gave us some tips of the trade. You know, that's a solid dude right there. He has a book out now too, so please check it out. If you haven't heard his podcast, you need to really take a listen. And then we have two friends that just started their
yeah.
their podcast, Underrated.
Yeah,
I mean, Ray
yeah.
and Dave. So
Ray and Dave, underrated.
yeah. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a blessing to be able to do this with you, boo.
Absolutely.
One of my best friends,
Likewise,
man.
likewise.
And here we are. You know,
Likewise.
sky's the limit. So, thank you all. Oh, wait, we gotta thank our families too.
Oh, I think my
I
mom,
think Rachel.
dad.
Yeah, I gotta thank Rachel, the kids.
Yeah.
My brother down south, Renato, my sister Patricia. You know, always.
You think you're going through the whole game?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna stop it there. I'll thank other people later,
too.
but because those are the people that always they push you, they believe in you.
Yep.
They're your biggest cheerleaders. Like
Yeah.
my sister,
Got us thus far.
everyone down south knows everything about me because of her. Guess what my brother did? Right? Like she's
Yeah.
crazy with that stuff. So, thank you, the viewers and the listeners, for listening. Please make sure you stay tuned when our podcast is out there. Download it on all platforms.
All platforms.
And remember, every day a better you. Make it a great one.